So welcome to Tiny Home Summit 2.0. My name's Tracy Baim. We at Pride Action Tank and the AIDS Foundation of Chicago, thank you for being here today. Our first summit was in 2016, and we may have been just a few years ahead of time with our push for this, but I think the timing's right now. Thank you to our sponsors, the Knight Family Foundation, Treehouse Foundation, Alphawood Foundation, BMO, the UIC Gender and Sexuality Center, Windy City Times, and the Therese Curran Memorial Fund at AFC. There were dozens of people and groups that made this possible. In your program book, you have a list of all of them. We could not have done it without you. We're here today to talk about adding another type of housing to the toolkit of innovative new designs for Chicago. Several cities have already been doing tiny homes for many years. We can learn a lot from what has worked and what has not from them today. I want to make sure that it's clear that the model outside is just one way to do smaller footprint housing. If you can indulge me and close your eyes for a minute, I'd like you to visualize what a tiny home might be for you. Would it be a dorm room, a studio apartment, a small bungalow? Tiny homes can be just as diverse as any kind of housing. They can be manufactured off-site, they can be stick-built on-site. They can be cement or brick, they can be wood, they can be 3D printed out of hemp. There's such a wide range of options available. Now open your eyes. Who would live in these homes? These can be for so many populations. They can be for the formerly homeless, for single moms, for domestic violence survivors, for community college students, for recent graduates as a starter home. They can be used to help build wealth and asset development in communities of color. They can be for seniors or veterans. When we had our tiny home model up in back of the yards for a year in 2016 and 2017, the tears that I had the most for were the seniors that would say, "You mean I could stay in this neighborhood? I could live in this home?" They wanted to move in. Smaller footprint homes can be quicker, less costly, be beautiful, be dignified, and also can be environmentally friendly. That home out there can have solar panels on it. And they can provide a wide opportunity to expand our lower cost affordable housing by thousands of units. We simply need more housing of all kinds in Chicago. Tiny homes are not for everyone, but they can be for someone.
So thank you for getting folks primed for the day, Tracy. Good morning, everyone. Oh, you all did that beautifully. Sometimes, you greet the audience and nothing, but thank you. So I'm Kim Hunt. I'm Vice President of Special Projects and Innovation in the Policy and Advocacy Department at AIDS Foundation Chicago and Executive Director of Pride Action Tank. Now, I noticed that some of you didn't close your eyes when Tracy asked you to close your eyes, but that's okay. I, too, want to encourage people to be open to new possibilities today, because it's important that we bring our imaginations to bear as we wrestle with the ongoing challenge of eradicating homelessness. So just to give you a little background of Pride Action Tank, and there's so many familiar faces in here from the 2016 summit to just being out in the work. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. It is 9 o'clock in the morning. We're here. Many of us are used to working from home, and you're here in person. Thank you so much. So just a little bit about Pride Action Tank. PAT is a multi-issue project incubator and think tank on LGBTQ issues, and much of what we do is bring people together to offer solutions to some of the most pressing issues facing our communities. And it's an honor to be hosting Tiny Home Summit 2.0. Now, as many of you know, the Chicago Department of Family Support Services released the annual point-in-time count late last week. And that is one day where folks go out and basically count folks in shelters and living on the streets in one night. One day in January, of all times. But some key takeaways from that report summary are that homelessness increased for everyone. Everyone. Homelessness, the overall numbers of people experiencing homelessness increased by 200% last year. Now, we know this is primarily due to new arrivals, but for non-new arrivals, homelessness increased by 25%. We have a problem that needs to be addressed. We can't look at housing as an option. housing is key to health. Housing is key to life. Housing is key to just thriving. And so what we offer with the tiny homes is not the solution to homelessness. It's a solution to add to our toolbox of options when we're dealing with homelessness. And this is the right time to be having this discussion, given the funding, the investments that both the city and the state have made in eradicating homelessness, and just what we see as new arrivals come in and need housing in addition to non-new arrivals. So today, we need to hold the reality of increased homelessness in Chicago in one hand, but we cannot let this reality stifle our creativity and vision of a new future. And as the writer, activist, and educator Walada Amirisha wrote in the opening of Octavia's Brood, which is, I'm a sci-fi fan, so this is a compilation of sci-fi short stories written by social justice activists. She says, because all organizing is science fiction, we are dreaming new worlds every time we think about the changes we want to make in the world. So let's move our dream to reality as we think about tiny homes today and a number of other issues. So now, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the day, Grace Howell, Deputy Director for Health and Human Services for Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you, and it's good to be here. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Tracy, for inviting me here today, and for your teams for implementing this amazing summit. One of the words, as I was looking on the conference website and learning about what you hope to achieve today, one of the words that really resonated with me in this conversation is beautiful. When we talk about housing instability or people experiencing homelessness, we have a tendency to go straight to stable, safe, clean, affordable, right, and dependable. But let's not forget that we all want to come home to a beautiful house, right? So I love that word beautiful that is throughout this conference. And as I was sitting there and thinking about kind of homes, and my house now is, of course, where I first think about, but I went back to the first home that I could ever remember. I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, and my parents moved to Connecticut to open up a Chinese restaurant, which was my dad's dream, and they didn't have a lot of money, but there was a second floor apartment on the top of the restaurant. And that was super convenient because I was 4 and my brother was just born and my parents could not afford childcare. So I was the mini mom at 4 taking care of my brother on the second floor. And I have nothing but amazing memories of that second floor apartment over that restaurant. And if you ask my brother now, he will say that I'm still mothering him, maybe smothering him. But anyways, that's a different story. I'm so proud to work for Governor Pritzker, and I want to lift up and appreciate the leaders and partners from our administration. You'll be hearing from Kristen Faust, the director of the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and Jose from La Casa Norte and I were just talking that we have the very challenging job of following in the sparkly footsteps of the former Deputy Governor, Sol Flores, and she really led with this work through her heart and all through her career. And I also want to give a shout out to all the public servants that are here who work in government, the city of Chicago, at the federal level, and of course the foundation partners, activists, organizers. People are here to share their life stories for our benefit, and so many others. What a remarkable lineup of compassionate and passionate doers. But I especially want to highlight the work and the leadership of Home Illinois, led by our remarkable Chief Homelessness Officer Christine Haley, who is right over there. She is a remarkable, practical, visionary leader who knows how to speak government as well as community. She never loses sight or forgets the stories of the individuals she has met along her lifetime that have experienced homelessness and instability, and that is her North Star. And I truly learn something from her every time we meet. Thank you, Christine. And she helped us craft a vision where no resident in the state of Illinois lives on the street, in a shelter, or in overcrowded housing. Illinoisans earn a living wage that allows them to afford housing in their community without fear of eviction. When a housing crisis occurs, safety net supports allow quick resolution to stable housing. I have to brag a little bit about Illinois and our government for a moment. And when I talk about the state of Illinois, it's not the capital S, meaning we in government can't do anything by ourselves. But when we sprinted into office in 2019, and I was honored to be tapped by the governor to serve first as the Secretary of the Illinois Department of Human Services, I mean, some of you may remember, we were walking into a hot mess. Years of budget impasses, and the fallout was most deeply felt by the health and human services system and its community organizations. Organizations who had been around for years and years had closed their doors, and the state system was deeply compromised. People were waiting for Medicaid determinations and their SNAP benefits. Payments to nonprofits were delayed, and the bureaucracy was not efficient. We haven't perfected it by any means, but we have turned it around. And many of you may remember during that first year, even though our immune system was deeply compromised in 2019, the governor said to me and my partners at the Illinois Department of Human Services, we would like you to run the census outreach program for the state of Illinois. And what we did, and I think what was recognized by Sol, who was still in the governor's office, as well as the governor, was the key to an effective census outreach program is reaching the hard-to-reach population. People who are not going to fill out that piece of paper, do not have a door to be knocked on, and the Department of Human Services and our community partners are the ones who can not only find those individuals, but are the credible messengers to have them respond to that. And we persevered. And that was because we worked in partnership with community organizations. And as a result, we had one of the highest response rates in the whole entire country. Thanks to all of you. During the pandemic, the state of Illinois distributed over $1.2 billion in rental assistance funds, one of the best outreach efforts and rental stable programs in the country, reaching over almost 200,000 families across the state. The Department of Human Services with the Illinois Housing Development Authorities, faith-based organizations, and All Chicago, I have to give Carolyn a shout out here. Every time we call All Chicago, can you do this? Yes. Can you do this also? Yes. So thanks to All Chicago and Carolyn for making that happen. And so fast forward to this coming year, I want to give you some context before I dive into some of the specifics. The whole entire state of Illinois budget is $125 billion. So that was recently passed by the General Assembly, and the governor has to sign it. 88% of the whole entire state of Illinois budget is for health and human services. So when people say that the budget is a moral document, we in Illinois know what we need to do to take care of people in Illinois, which is make sure that they have a strong health and human services system. In addition to that, this coming fiscal year, Home Illinois has a budget of almost $300 million under the leadership of Christine Haley to continue its work. to innovate with guaranteed income pilots, to continue the court-based rental assistant partner with the Department of Corrections and the Department of Children and Family Services and other agencies to operationalize the strategies in the recently released Black Homelessness Report, one of the first of its kind in the country. And we know that we are not done. Before I conclude, and Kim talked a little bit about that, I also want to lift up the remarkable work to support new arrivals who are transported from Texas to Chicago with zero resources. The Department of Human Services with the Illinois Housing Development Authority, as well as the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, has met this humanitarian crisis with dignity. I can tell you it has been no easy feat, not only operationally, but within this paralyzing debate nationally and even here locally in communities. Make no mistake, Illinois is doing the work of the federal government in partnership with the city of Chicago, and we have been doing it admirably in this crisis environment. And we also know that we can't have two systems, one for people who are born in the United States and one for people who are arriving into this country in Illinois. And we know that we need to integrate these two systems, and we're doing that right now with community leaders and subject matter experts. So how does this all relate to tiny homes? I want to say that in Illinois, we can do hard things. We've proven that. We can do new things. We can do complicated things because we do it together. Government and philanthropy and subject matter experts, and when I talk about SMEs, I talk about academicians as well as people who are using their own life experiences to help others, community-based organizations, service providers, advocates. And when we talk about the budget, and I gave you those big numbers, it's also because of organizing and advocacy. Because people on the outside are pushing and educating our General Assembly members even as we do it on the inside. And so we can do hard things, we can do complicated things, because anything worthwhile we know we have to do together, and that is how we roll in Illinois, because we believe there is something beautiful in this state for everyone. So thank you very much for having me.